Hello and welcome to yet another The Wonderful Truth video. First and foremost, I would like to thank you for freely and willingly choosing to click on this video. With a selection of plenty of videos and many other things to do, you simply chose to click on this video. Perhaps it was because of the intriguing title or maybe the appealing thumbnail. But nevertheless, you chose to click on this video because you wanted to. And you wanted to do so without any outside influences. And you figured that out because you made up your own mind with the power of your own thought process and thereby executing and living out your innate free will. Or perhaps it is not really that simple. What I just described might just be a great delusion. Because maybe you actually had no choice whatsoever in choosing to click on this video. Maybe the choice was in fact made for you by events in your brain that you were not consciously aware of. You didn't know that you intended to watch this video until the intention itself arose. Additionally, you have no idea what your next intentions or thoughts might be until they arise. It really just happens, and you experience it, believing that you are in fact the author of these thoughts and intentions. The evidence that neuroscience has presented us is that all of our thoughts and actions are determined by unconscious neural events, which are themselves determined by prior causes of which we are subjectively unaware. When you figured that you wanted to watch this video, a series of impersonal events occurred. Genes were transcribed. Neurotransmitters would bind to their receptors and muscle fibers would contract in a way that made your arms and fingers point the cursor towards this thumbnail and finally clicking on this video. But what if you're now changing your mind and you don't want to listen to this nonsense anymore and you are 5 seconds away from watching something else? Well, that too would be an impulse that equally so is a product of unconscious causes. A study from the physiologist Benjamin Lippitt in 1983 showed with the use of an EEG or electroencephalogram, which detects electrical activity in the brain, that activity in the brain's motor cortex can be detected some 300 milliseconds before a person actually becomes consciously aware of the outcome of said brain activity. Another study called Decoding and Predicting Intentions by John Dylan Haynes extended this work in 2011 by using functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI. This study found choice predictive information contained in neural signals leading up to a decision. The results showed that the specific outcome of free choices between different plans can be interpreted from brain activity, not only after the decision has been made, but even several seconds before it is made, which suggests that a causal chain of events can occur outside subjective awareness even before a subject makes up his or her mind. Therefore, the intention to do one thing and not another does not originate in consciousness. Rather, it appears in consciousness. The next decision you make, whether it be you subscribing to this channel or perhaps you leaving a comment explaining how unimpressed you are with all of this, a symphony of neural events would have occurred unconsciously in your brain prior to you actually becoming aware that that is what you, or rather your brain, intends to do. Subjectively, it will of course appear to you that you have the freedom to choose or behave however you like, but it is in fact your brain that unconsciously determines what you will do. You then become conscious of this decision and believe that you are in the process of making it. So tell me, where is the freedom of will in this? Another way to look at it could be that even though your thoughts and actions are the product of unconscious causes, it still remains your thoughts and actions. Because whatever your brain decides to do or what not to do, and whether that is consciously or unconsciously, it still is something that you have done or decided to do. Because you are essentially your brain, and the unconscious neurophysiology is just as much you as your conscious thoughts are. This viewpoint is called compatibilism, and the point of this viewpoint is essentially that a puppet is free as long as he loves his strings. Perhaps not all compatibilists would agree with this assertion, but nevertheless, the compatibilist viewpoint does equally so give a completely different understanding of free will. Because where is the freedom if our every action and intention that we consciously experience is being guided around by events in our brains that we are not consciously aware of? What kind of basis of freedom is that? It gives us the feeling of freedom, but free will still remains an illusion. Another possible explanation is based on the fact that brain activity essentially is chemical reactions, and chemical reactions on some level depend on quantum mechanics with the interaction of subatomic particles. Quantum mechanics, which for us human beings seems as though it is largely dictated by coincidences or randomness as part of Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And this is now getting very technical, and I will therefore go straight to the point. That a corresponding scientific argument is that brain activity, including our thoughts, intentions, and actions, also largely could be dictated by coincidences or randomness, since we humans are made of, and our brain depends on chemicals that appear to have randomness. The scientific method has yet to explain the nature of consciousness. One day science will hopefully provide the answer to this question, and we will then know for certain what consciousness actually is and how much free will consciousness entails. Nevertheless, the results that science has provided thus far point in a direction that the basic understanding of free will is very much in jeopardy, whether it be because of the discoveries in neuroscience, the compatibilist argument, or the argument regarding randomness through quantum mechanics. But even without the aid of scientific discovery, a very solid case can be built philosophically against the presumption that we have free will. The brain, one of the most complex organs in the human body, made up of more than 100 billion nerves that communicate in trillions of connections called synapses, all of which entirely dictates what you think, how you behave, how you move, how smart you are, your feelings, your wants, your will. But how these billions of nerves have developed in your brain is something that you have absolutely no control over. It is a physical system entirely beholden to the laws of nature. How your brain has developed, or if there is any change in its functional state and material structure, say a brain tumor or a hard blow to the head, it is something that entirely dictates your thoughts and actions, and this is something that you have no control over. Neither did you have any control over where and when you were born. You didn't choose your parents that raised you or the people you have met throughout your lifetime, the different experiences and interactions you have had with other people, events and ideas that have shaped who you are and what you believe. All the choices you've made, all of your thoughts and intentions are all part of a chain of causes that precede your conscious awareness, over which you have no control. You are the conscious witness of your experience, and you are no more responsible for the next thing you think about, and therefore do, than you are for the fact that you were born into this world. Your brain constantly reacts to stimuli and releases different chemicals such as endorphins or dopamine, which, among others, is part of the brain's reward system. But you cannot control how, for how much, and when your brain decides to reward you when you've been exposed to different kinds of stimuli. You just experience it, and it shapes how you think, what kind of music you like, the food you like, the sports you like, the books, the movies, what you're passionate about, what you want to do for a living, and most importantly, your will. You did not choose that you wanted to watch this video because you cannot choose what you want to choose. You have no free will over your will. And when that is the case, Free will is an illusion. So, where does this leave us? What is the point of this life if all we consist of is biological hardware that makes decisions for us, that we can only consciously experience but that we cannot control? Well, becoming aware of the background causes of your thoughts and feelings can allow you to have greater control over your life. If you're in a bad mood, for example, or if you are unhappy with certain outcomes in your life, then knowing that that is ultimately because of background causes over which you have no control can, paradoxically, allow you to take control. It can help you understand yourself in a different way and help you become more understanding of others. Why people do what they do, believe what they believe, why they have chosen certain paths in their lives. Understanding that we are all product of our biological development and everyday surroundings, understanding us human beings as a natural phenomenon, should not result in an unchosen feeling of meaninglessness. Rather, it should give rise to a more understanding and united view on the lives of other people. Also, just because you have no control over whether you like wine, classical music or Quentin Tarantino movies, you're still here, enjoying it. We are the privileged owners of this brief spark of consciousness, and we are lucky enough to be able to reflect on exactly that. So cheer up, because you have no choice in doing so. Thank you for watching this video, even though you had no choice but to do so. Now, don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day.